Welcome to the Sip and Scale podcast, where we talk about everything business, entrepreneurship, and startups. My name is Blendi Muriqi. I'm the CEO and founder of Delegate.co. Each week, you'll join us as we talk with industry experts and business owners, sharing actionable insights to drive your business forward. So grab your favorite beverage and let's sip our way to success. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sip and Scale podcast. Today, I have Mariam, co-founder of Mariam's B&B. She's an expert Airbnb coach and a really talented interior designer. She's reshaping how the short-term rental industry is in terms of design. We're going to get into talking about Coachella, renting during that time, how she started in the short-term rental space. With over 8 years in the industry, she helps hosts grow their businesses and create spaces that guests will love. I'm super interested in hearing her feedback on the industry today and how she got started. Welcome to the Sip and Scale podcast.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Blendi. I'm really excited to be here today. So good news is that we're actually rebranding. So now we're going to be called Lume Stays. So I'm going through all of that like rebranding process, hiring a designer and marketing and a branding person. We're going to have a brand new website. So so we're called Lume Stays. I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Fantastic. And at the end of the pod, we'll put all of your information in the link so people can visit your website and your socials to stay connected. So a little background on how we met. We were at this year's Level Up Your Listing Summit out in Arizona. And I believe you came to my table or we met throughout sometime throughout the conference. And I said, hey, you should come onto the podcast. I'd love to hear your story. So tell me, how did you get started in the space?
Yeah. So in 2020, so both me and my husband, we had a full-time job. He's a software engineer. I used to do marketing, tech marketing. And in 2020, we decided to buy a short-term rental, not because, we were like, okay, let's see how it's going to work. But we used to go to Palm Springs so much with like friends and family and rent other Airbnbs. And we thought, why don't we just get like a vacation home just for ourselves? And whenever we're not there, we can just rent it out. And we actually at that time even like scheduled a meeting with vacation rental management company to see if they will manage our own rental. But we're like, okay, something doesn't like sound right here. Why don't we just learn how to do it ourselves and just give it a try, right? And we started like reading books and watching YouTube videos and podcasts and like actively educating ourselves on hospitality, how to do pricing strategy, how to like, be successful on Airbnb. And we found this house that we purchased already furnished. So it was a great deal for us in La Quinta, which is in Coachella Valley. And it just worked out so well. And we loved doing it. Like I was taking care of like the guest communication, managing the cleaners and taking care of like reviews and stuff. And my husband would take care of the maintenance aspect of things. And we worked as a team really good also, which is like very important. So long story short, that worked so well that we decided, why don't we maybe, I don't know, pull some strings together and invest in more rentals. And long story short, in a few years, we purchased 3 other vacation rentals, listed on Airbnb, designed it, added game rooms, researched what really works. Because at that time, there was still like a lot of competition. So in order to survive in the market, you had to do a thorough research. Your houses had to be on point on the design, on the amenities, like game rooms, pools, and hot tubs. So what happened is that our friends of friends who owned like rentals started reaching out to me. Hey, Miriam, could you help me? Or how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And then one of my brother's friends reached out and said, hey, I have a rental. Could you actually manage it for me? Like, I don't have time. And this was in 2023. So I said, yeah, sure. Why not? So one thing led to another. Other people started reaching out. And it turned out really well, because when I was 6 months pregnant with my first baby, I was laid off along with like 30 other people. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I'm like 6 months pregnant. I don't have a job. And my husband was like, why don't you do this just full time? Because you're already good at it. I was
Yeah.
like, I never thought about doing it full time. And I started reaching out to people and offering my services. And now we have 35 houses that we manage. Majority of them are in Palm Springs area, and I have about 6 in Big Bear. That just happened. They found me, and I'm like, sure, why not? We love Big Bear too. I'll try.
It's been like strictly word of mouth in terms of market.
Yeah, like primarily word of mouth. There were like a few leads that I reached out to them. Like I saw a listing on Airbnb one day, and I'm like, this house has so much potential, but the pictures are not good. And then like the listing description is not there, the pricing is off. And then I reached out to the owner and I'm like, you know what, I can really help you. Do you want me to manage
That's so
your listing for you? So we've been doing that too. But also I've been featured in Airbnbs. Airbnb has a co-hosting program.
Yeah, I heard
Uh,
they released it. Was it last
last year.
year?
Yeah, last about like June. And I was one of the first people that applied. Now they don't accept like applications to like certain like popular areas. And I one of the first people that applied. I got in. And I still get like yesterday, 2 people reached out to me, like 2 new potential leads that I'm going to talk today. Yeah, and so that also has been like a really good source of leads.
Nice.
Also, one thing so funny what happened is that randomly one day Airbnb reached out to me, their marketing team, and they're like, hey, so we're launching this co-hosting program and you're already part of it, but we want to feature you. We'll send a photographer, like they'll take your pictures. And I was like, sure, I just had a baby. It was already my second baby. I had a baby 2 weeks ago, but sure, why not come?
They're
So their
like, we want
photographer,
the babies included too.
so funny. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you had a baby 2 weeks ago and you're willing to do this. That's so cool." And I guess that was one of the reasons. Like my face was everywhere on all their but on their website and their winter release. If you open the winter release, it's my face, and then they're
That's
going
awesome.
through like my profile. It was so good. Yeah, I had even people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, I saw you in winter release. Like, how much do you charge for like managing?" It was
Wow.
really cool. Yeah.
Talk about like having that marketing output when you have a huge company like Airbnb. All you need is like
Yeah,
one
I know.
plug.
And it just goes. Yeah.
That's great. But what I took away from this situation is you were very early and strategic in taking
Yeah.
advantage of opportunities. And I kind of making this a big picture discussion about succeeding in business. I think it's looking at an opportunity that others might be like, nothing might come
Mm,
out of it. Like, why bother putting in the work? You put in that work, initial work. And because you were first, you had that first mover advantage, it actually
yeah.
paid off very well for you. And you're saying that you still see dividends from that investment.
Oh, like majority of my leads come through that source, or like these, like nowadays, we don't really do that much of outbound sales. A lot
Yeah,
of like leads that we get is inbound, either like our clients refer us to like other leads, or they come through Airbnb.
that's good.
And
And you
we're
said
also
you're
very
back.
picky.
I'm sorry?
Sorry. I'm saying we're also like very picky. Like I really vet people, like vet the owners. I'm like, okay, is this the person that I want to work with? Is this a house that I believe that can truly be successful? Because I do want to build like a portfolio of really good like vacation rentals, so that people associate my brand with, high quality rentals that have a good design, that are interesting, that have good amenities.
That's so important. I can't tell you how many times I've seen property managers that they got into the space in 2020 in the midst of COVID. And during that time, there was this huge surplus in demand. And
Mm,
a lot of people, they scooped up any property they could get It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether it was aesthetic, it doesn't matter whether the location was optimal, the size of it. And they got burned
Hmm. Of
after
course.
COVID because those prices came down and they could not manage those properties.
Hmm.
So there's something to be said about being picky, getting the right clients that you
Yeah.
want to work with is just as important as the revenue that you bring
Of
in.
course. Of course. Otherwise, you're gonna get burned out. I'm a like it's this is a family business. Like we have like finite resources, and I want to make sure that we're also building a brand around our rentals.
That's
And I
awesome.
also build like a good community of owners that we communicate with each other, they communicate with each other. There's like a good understanding and trust and good relationship.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think that when you build that community, so there's a difference between building your company where your clients are all segregated. But if you're building a community of owners that actually talk to each other, there's also a feedback loop there. There's more
Of
buy-in
course.
from your clients.
Of course.
One of the biggest reasons that you have conferences, for example. If you're working,
Hmm.
you have a background in tech, why do these tech companies have conferences where they bring all of their customers together in one place? Because they want them to feel connected to something more than just a product. They want people to feel connected to the people using that product.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's
You know,
really good.
there's a saying it says like you don't buy from a company, you buy from a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Big
have to
belief.
like believe, yeah, you have to like believe in that person that you're gonna trust your rental. Because everyone thinks their vacation rental is the best. It's like their baby, they put a lot of money in it and they want to make sure that their house is gonna be taken care of.
If you have that mentality also where, you're taking care of a property as if it was your own,
Yeah, I was gonna
people,
say that actually.
yeah, people, they trust you more, number one.
Mm.
And two, they know that like you're better off giving your property to Mariam than doing it yourself. And I've seen time and time again property managers lose clients because the owners say, "Wow, the way this is performing, like I might as well just do it myself."
Mm.
But the fact that you've been able to scale to 35 properties and keep that level of consistency is it's fantastic. And that's only in like you'd say 2 years you've grown that much.
Doing this full time, 2 years. Yeah, it'll be 2 years this summer actually. Before then, it was just our houses and maybe like houses of our friends. But people that I actually do not know and managing their properties, it's been almost 2 years.
What are some of the challenges that you faced from like going from just managing your own properties to managing strangers?
First of all, we grew, I would say, quickly, and we came to the point where I was like, okay, this is really challenging. I have one kid pregnant with another. I have all of these houses. Guests are like messaging, and now I'm like, okay, I have to like respond within 5 minutes and trying to keep that. I can't keep doing this myself. So I need to hire virtual assistants. That was like my biggest challenge, hiring my first virtual assistant and being able to just let go of that communication and not like micromanage like crazy. No, you should have said this word or that sentence because we want to make sure they always stay happy with us. So
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest challenges, finding the right person that I can trust to put my phone away, shut my laptop, and be comfortable and confident enough that my business is going to be taken care of. Because I always tell them, okay, if the guest sends a message, you have 5 minutes to respond to them. If you don't, I'm going to be like, what happened there?
Yeah.
Because it's so important. Like, because just imagine even if something goes wrong during their stay, but if you were super nice to them and you were providing like excellent customer service, they're not going to leave a bad review for you.
No.
So because they were like, oh, Mariam was so great. Like, why would I leave a bad review? Like,
Bad reviews come from the perception that Like when you feel a personal touch and you feel
Yeah,
like someone actually cares about your
yeah,
situation,
exactly.
they're seldom leaving a bad review. It's when the guest is far removed from the host emotionally that they're like,
Yeah.
this warrants a bad review.
Of course, no, 100% agree. Like two things that are critical for me in running all of this business and and I want to make sure that guests mention it in the review is my host was great and the place was sparkling clean. Those are
Yeah.
the two things I'm like, okay, our reviews have to constantly mention those two things because I really don't care if they say, oh, like this fire pit was great. Like people can see in the pictures that I have a fire pit. And in fact, like everyone like in Coachella Valley have almost the same amenities. But at the end, it comes about like the service that you provide and how, clean and great your place is.
Let's talk about, you mentioned amenities. So, there's cleanliness, and I assume there are operators in Coachella Valley that they don't do that great of a job in terms of cleanliness, and that's where you can stand out. But how do you separate yourself in a market that has very much the same amenities, same size properties,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also have like folks that just have bought up a lot of properties in an area, so their supply is much
Yes.
higher than previous years. How do you remain competitive from a marketing standpoint, bringing people in? Is it just focusing on what you can control and then the rest leaving to the side? Is it looking at different amenities that you can add that other people currently don't have?
So it's a combination of both, right? There are certain amenities that everyone has. Like it's Coachella Valley, people go for pool. So you have pool, you have hot tub. Evening, they like to sit by the fire pit, so you have a fire pit. But like these things, like every house has it. Like all these three like key amenities that is kind of like required for you to have. But other than that, like when an owner comes to me with like pretty generic house, and I'm like, look, there are thousands of houses like this. I can help you turn your rental into something unique by adding like maybe small touches of, I don't know, maybe add a wallpaper. Maybe, you have this garage sitting empty, like people park outside. Why don't I can help you turn it into a game room. Just imagine like neon lights and like a poker table, like a pool table, maybe like a small corner for kids to play. So you start thinking outside of the box. Okay, what is it that other rentals don't have? Maybe outside in the backyard, we can have a corner where we can put like a kids play. We can create it into like a kids play area, like a slide, a swing. So you start thinking about how can I create different corners to attract different customer types. I want to attract families, but I also want to attract people who are coming to do a baby shower or a bachelorette party, or just friends that want to get away and maybe, I don't know, play a poker or board game. We have like separate corners for everyone. And
Yeah.
also like you have to be able to show that in your listing. So you have to have like a top-notch high-end photo shoots done to be able to showcase your property in the best light possible.
Funny you mentioned that. I just had a property beautifully renovated. They're just finishing up right now, furnishing and decorating it. And we're going to take over the management of the property. And I'm talking to the owner, and he's like, "Hey, can you come in to do the photo shoot?" And I'm like, "Is it done?" He's like,
Yeah.
No, but it's like it's almost there, but it's like all the beds, everything, the nightstands, they're all in place." I'm like, "I'll come in with
Yeah.
my iPhone, but if I'm gonna spend $1,000 on
Mm,
a top-notch photographer to come
it
in,
has to be
it's
ready.
gotta be done.
Yeah.
It's gotta be 100% done." And because the other thing is you get one opportunity in the beginning to make
Mm-hmm.
it right,
Mm-hmm.
And once it's booked, it's difficult to get a photographer in for the whole day to
Yeah.
shoot a very big house. And so I've had that experience. Like, if you're doubling down and you're trying to make your listing as marketable as possible, pay
Mm-hmm.
up for the photographer, but also
Oh,
make sure the place
100%.
is ready.
Yeah. And sometimes the owner tells me, no, no, you schedule the photo shoot. I'll add this or that, like after you do the photo shoot. I'm like, whatever you add after the photo shoot, it doesn't count. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to bring you bookings. So the
No.
place has to be 100% ready for us to, you know, do a photo shoot. Otherwise, it just doesn't count.
Yeah. The other thing you have to realize is when photographers come in, they're just there to shoot. And so there are some things that as an operator you see with your eye that you have to adjust
Mm.
constantly while they're there. I'll give an example. We were doing a shoot for a kitchen, and the photographer comes and he's like, all right, this is the shot, this is the angle. And I look at the corner of my eye and I'm like, cord. There was the cord for the toaster. It was just
Oh
sticking out
my gosh.
slightly. And I'm like, stop, 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 stop. And he's like,
Yeah.
what? And I'm like, I gotta move this behind the
Yeah,
toaster.
100% agree with you.
But
Cord,
it's
like
all
that's the
those
biggest
little
part.
things. Those little
Yeah.
things to you might not be like, the photographer's like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, it
Yeah,
does.
mother.
Because
Yeah.
if someone is paying top dollar for my property and they are OCD, then
Mm-hmm.
that might be the difference between getting that reservation and not getting it. So I would rather
Yeah.
take the extra second and put the
Yeah.
cord behind the
Cord.
toaster.
Oh no, I 100% agree with you. And I always tell them like we have a few seconds for someone who's scrolling Airbnb to make that impression. A few seconds, first few pictures, and that's it. They're either gonna, book your place or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's even more important in a competitive landscape. Like if you're in a super,
Mm.
let's just say like South Florida. We have clients at Delegate in South Florida, and depending on the season you're in, you look up certain dates and you have 500 properties available in a 2 mile, 3 mile square radius. So that what you're saying is even more true in some markets than others. Other
Yeah.
markets, they're like, yeah, there's only X amount of properties in this market.
Then you don't have to be that picky.
You don't have to be that picky, exactly. But
Yeah.
there are certain markets where you have to be on top of your game because
Yeah.
it is cutthroat.
For Palm Springs, every given weekend, it says plus places. 1,000 plus places. It is insane. And it became like this the past 2 years. It wasn't like that before.
Do you think it's because a lot of people got into the business thinking that they were going to make a crazy amount of money, so it was speculative investing, and then like a lot of inventory came to market, not enough demand?
Yeah. Yeah. There's just, and also people were buying without like doing like proper research and analyzing whether their investment is going to make sense or not. A week ago, I had someone call me and they're like, hey, so I have this house. My mortgage is 12,000. And so I want to make sure that on top of like covering my costs, this brings in cash flow. And I look at the house and I'm like, unfortunately, I cannot help you because
No one
like your
can.
place, no one can. Like your place is not even, I'm not a magician. Like I can't turn this into, I don't know. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that people would just invest without thinking because they would see, okay, other people are investing. I guess there's some money to be made. But we came to the point where like it's oversaturated.
And then what's the regulation like in Palm Springs? Because I've heard that over the years, it's been a lot of talks of regulation. Is it currently
Yeah.
highly regulated?
So there's Coachella Valley in Palm Springs is one of the cities, and there are other cities. And when someone searches Palm Springs, they not necessarily book like Palm Springs, they book like other cities too. Palm Springs has one of the most strict regulations. And there's also like limited number of times that you can rent out your place during the year, which is really like not that great. So you try to focus on bringing more bookings that are maybe like a few days rather than just a weekend or a week to make it work. But other cities are more STR friendly. So we try to focus on, for example, getting clients in those areas rather than
Coachella
cities
Valley,
that
you had
like
mentioned.
Coachella or Indio or Desert Hot Springs. And these are, the cities in Coachella Valley. Because they're all about like 15-20 minutes from one another. Like people don't really care because they come for, it's not like New York that they want to be close to like a certain touristic area or go out and walk, right? Here people come out. So majority of the time they're going to spend inside the house. So in the backyard. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter in which city you are. So we try to get clients that in cities that are more STR friendly.
So I've never been to Coachella, and so you're the first person that I've met that actually operates STRs there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Tell me about what it's like to operate a property management company with properties in Coachella Valley during Coachella.
Oh, so it's not easy because you always at all times have a very high risk of parties at all
100%.
times. So all our houses have exterior cameras, have a noise monitor installed in the backyard, so we can monitor if, for example, our noise monitor is alerting of us a high noise. We can check if someone is blasting music with like speakers. And at least twice a year, we kick out people. Like we call Airbnb, have their reservation canceled. We call the police and have them leave because they're throwing a party. Because if we don't do, our neighbor is going to do, and then we're going to get a citation for that.
We don't want a citation.
If you get 2 citations, you lose your permit.
Wow.
It is intense.
That's
It's
intense.
intense. Yeah. It's crazy. And because they have to, because there's a high risk of party. Like imagine like full-time residents, like how much they're complaining though. So the cities are very, very strict. And in fact, we're over Coachella this year too. Second week was this last weekend, second week of Coachella. Like this, we hosted about 30 groups. I had all my VAs up, like one monitoring all cameras and noise monitors 24/7 to make sure that people don't come back from Coachella at 3 a.m. completely drunk and start blasting music.
So you would say that even
bit
like in the
intense.
markets where they're prone to partying, having VAs has like been a game changer for you.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think what you're doing is just so smart. Delegate is just so smart because every host and every owner who has even like 2 houses, you need to hire a VA to be able to support you in your operations. Our VAs, like I have 3 VAs, they're just amazing, and they have been monitoring everything 24/7 on top of like all the guest communication, all the messaging that can be happening, because during the festival period, everything is just
Insane.
and it's just like crazy stories,
Okay,
that
you got to
can
give me a
happen.
story. Let's
Okay, I
hear
have
it.
one story. I had brand new house that we just launched on Airbnb. Their first reservation was the first weekend of Coachella guests. I know, crazy. So what happens is that like we get a call from one of the guests and they're like, hey, so we just arrived to the property and there are other guests that already checked in. There are other people in the house that we don't know. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like they have to be part of your group because they had the door code, they were able to get into the park. No. They're like, we don't know these people. They're like 8 people in the house. We know we don't know any of them. And we tried to call the person that make the reservation. He's not answering. And they're very upset. They're like, oh, we're going to call Airbnb anyway. Big deal. They're making a big scene out of it, which I completely understand. So what happened is that the person that booked our Airbnb booked 2 different houses for 2 different sets of one was, I think, his coworkers, and the other one was his friends. And he gave both of them same address and same check-in information.
Wow.
So they all arrived to our house.
So this was not your fault in any way. This was just...
No, it was the person who booked, after 30 minutes, he called and was like, I'm so sorry, I completely messed up. These are 2 separate groups. They don't know each other. And I accidentally gave your address.
Now, was this someone that coordinates Coachella parties? Was it just someone that had their work group and then they're friends?
I don't know. I didn't ask. That never happened before. I'm like, okay,
That's
I guess
weird.
there's the first one.
That's insane. Yeah.
That's insane,
What about
yeah.
in terms of the age groups? I'm assuming those groups that are on the younger side. Have you had problems where a bunch of 21-year-olds want to book the place, and do you allow that?
So yeah, it really depends on the city's regulations, because the way Airbnb is now, if your city doesn't have an age restriction for booking short-term rentals, you cannot enforce one, because then it goes against, then it's considered a discrimination. The host cannot deny a reservation based on the age.
Ageism.
Yes. Unfortunately, some cities in Coachella Valley have strict regulations. For example, Palm Springs City, you have to be 25 plus to make the reservation, which I think is amazing. A bunch of 18-year-olds who come with an alcohol and try to party.
Yeah. Alcohol is the least of your problems.
Yes. Yeah, I've had a group 3 years ago in one of the houses that we own. They did so much damage to the house. That claim that I had to submit to Airbnb was just
probably
crazy.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. They scratched the entire hot tub.
Oh.
I don't know how. Yeah, it was just intense.
Are you using now insurance? Do you insure the homes?
We do, and we have to. And that's so funny you say. Now I'm actually in the process of looking for and talking to different insurance companies to better understand what's out there in the market.
You should use Happy Guest. Very
Happy
good.
Guest?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started using, shout out to Mike O'Connell from Happy Guest.
I scheduled with them. That's so funny you say that.
Oh, really?
I might have.
So what I really like about Happy Guest is...
Oh, this Friday. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So he was at Level Up Your Listing as well.
Okay.
I had this issue where with my properties, at one point I just relied strictly on air cover. And you can probably kind of sympathize with this, where it's very difficult to get a significant amount of money from your claims.
Yes.
The higher the damage is. So if it's a floor, for example, that got scratched,
my gosh,
it's a long process, and the amount of documentation that's necessary is extensive, and it's in their best interest not to pay you out. So
yeah, of course.
I switched over to using Happy Guest because I also needed some sort of check-in application, like a guest experience app. So it does both. So I get insured on every reservation up to, I think it's $1,500, and it's all seamless in one platform. I don't have to go to an insurance company because they already have it integrated. So that's worked very well for me, but you need it, especially for the large houses. You said that a lot of your houses are on the larger side.
Yeah.
it's inevitable. There's going to be damages. I understand where Airbnb is coming from because they want to protect the guests. But at the same time, like every building, every house has its own policies. How do you enforce a policy like that when you have communities or places that,
With
as a
strict rules.
requirement, you need to
Yeah.
collect their IDs?
Oh, that's what we do, and that's what we've been doing, like collect their ID, send an agreement for them to sign to acknowledge like regulations and our house rules, getting the secondary phone number, which is like very critical for us. Just imagine like they're throwing a party, I'm calling and the person who booked is not answering me, right? So I need to have like a backup phone number from one other person. So for us, it's very important to make sure we're protected and the owners are protected. So I guess I have to call probably Airbnb and just ask them a little bit more questions regarding their
As
new
long as
like,
it's in your listing, as long as it's in your description and it's on a
yeah.
requirement, because you can always
Oh yeah,
argue,
for sure it is.
that a municipality or an HOA, they have these requirements. Therefore, I have to collect their
Yeah.
IDs because
Yeah.
I cannot trust Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Airbnb understands that kind of position. I will say, collecting, to your point, you collect IDs and the phone numbers. I had a situation 2 months ago. So I have a client that has a number of properties in New Jersey, right across the
Mm-hmm.
Hudson from where I live. And I'm very close to the client. I don't manage the properties, but we manage all of their customer service. We manage their back end and their admin. These guys, they live full time in China and they have
Oh
someone
wow.
there that manages the properties, cleans the properties, but there's no one there on site to be the property manager. Turns out there's these guests, they had many good reviews, everything, but they start being very loud for 4 or 5 days, playing music until
Oh
like
wow.
2 in the morning. And eventually the team is like, oh, like we need to kick these people out. So I go across the New York, I go to New Jersey, and I go straight to the property myself. And I look at the IDs because we collect the IDs using Happy Guest. And I see that the name does
Don't
not match
match.
the person on the reservation.
Wow.
And on top of that, the actual passport that was provided was a foreign passport. And I have a relative that is a police officer, and he has a friend that's a private investigator. So whenever something happens,
That's
I
so cool.
I'm like, hey, can you do a background check on this? Turns out it was a gang member affiliated
What?
with like some Central American gang.
That's insane.
I went to the property because I'm a crazy person, and there's gang members in the property. And I knock on the door. I'm like, you guys got to leave. And they're like, oh, no, we're okay. Like, we'll turn down the music. No, you got to leave right now. They're like, we can't. Like, we paid. No, you're leaving right now. Because I had the phone. I had 911. I'm like, you see 911? I can press that button right now. We can make it easier or we can make it hard. They're like, we're
Yeah.
leaving.
That's insane.
And
Oh my God.
they left. But it's super important. You have to always check that. But you would never think there's a freaking gang renting your property, especially when they have a lot of good reviews.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the rest of 2025 in terms of growth? Is just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah,
Keep
just keep
more,
doing what we're doing. We want to focus more on our operations and back end. to organize everything, maybe like bring in an in-house bookkeeper just to like get things like well organized,
Yeah.
even more than we have now. But also like I do want to grow, bring in more properties that match our brand. Yeah, focus more on social media. I feel like that's something that I haven't been focusing on, and this age you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I noticed on your Instagram that you're super active and your posts are very well designed. So I see
trying.
it coming together.
Trying. Yeah. It is a lot of work. It's like full-time job. So I am looking actually, yeah, maybe someone that can come and help. I have someone now that helps me with the posts. We'll see. We'll see
Right.
what we do. Maybe we need more help.
What is it like? One thing I'm curious about, what is it like running a business with your loved one?
That's an interesting question. So I think we are a good team because we complement each other. He's very, he's very detail oriented. He's very like numbers person and, doing calculations. And so he's great at working at our pricing. Like he would sit and analyze all the listings in the area and understand everyone's pricing strategy, look at ours and, dive deeper into like the data. He's that type of person. And I'm more into like vision and colors and guests and making everyone happy. So
Oh, that's
but I
awesome.
think it's a good combination.
Yeah.
Of
Is
course,
he
we fight
still working
sometimes,
his,
but
what'd you say?
everyone. I'm saying, of course, we fight sometimes, but everyone does.
Yeah. No, I mean that's normal because when you complement each other, your differences might complement each other, but inevitably every once in a while they also conflict with each other.
Yeah, but that's what makes it also interesting.
It makes it a little fun. It's not, you don't it's not boring. There's a little
For
bit of
sure.
spice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is he still working in full time in his position?
Yeah, he has a full-time job. He's a software engineer.
Cool. So is the eventual plan to make this like a full-time thing for everyone?
Yeah, I think so. His side hobby is like we're also investing in real estate and construction, and we're doing a little bit of that too. So
Yeah.
he loves like everything that's related to like real estate, just in general. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
can come to the point that it would just make sense for both of us to do this full time.
Would you ever think you'd be where you are right now 20 years ago, for example? Like, you obviously
No,
immigrated to this country
yeah.
and you have like a vision of what America is and like what your life is going to be like. Has that has that vision of moving here, does it align with your life as it is now?
It's funny, like I've always had my own thing. Even if I had a full-time job, I'm from Armenia, I'm Armenian. Even when I was in Armenia, I had my business there with along with my other jobs. So in my head, I'm like, I need to have my full time. I need to have my own job, my own, something that I've built. And that way, because it makes me more happy to focus on something that I'm growing and seeing, my work and like my results. And when you move to a brand new country, and I moved here about 10 years ago, and you're already in like your mid 20s and you don't know anyone, you're like, okay, I'm here. This is a land of opportunities. I just have to work hard. And, you can make your dreams come true, but you just have to hustle. And it's all about that hustle and putting that work to make sure that you make your family proud because, they work so hard to make sure that you make this move, right? So it's a lot, but I'm glad where I am right now.
I always tell people, I was born here, but my family emigrated from Kosovo. They're Albanian.
Yeah.
And I always say that, like, for someone to leave everything they have and everything they know and then uproot themselves and go to another country and start fresh,
Oh, it's really hard.
it's really hard, but it's like one of the reasons I think America is such a great country is because of that immigration. everyone that comes here and starts from scratch, they already have that gene. And that gene is like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to take risk.
Yeah,
And if you're willing to
for
take
sure.
risk, there's a lot of upside to it. Yes, you might fail, but hey, why not? I'm in the best country to fail.
Yeah,
I might as well
yeah,
do it.
yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's just that motivation of, okay, I'm finally here, that I can go and achieve more in life. It just, there's, I don't know, something that, keeps on pushing you forward.
Yeah, there's endless opportunity. I was talking to a guy at a real estate conference once. He was from Greece, lived his whole life in Athens, is there full time, and he's like, "You have no idea how much easier you have it doing business in America. In Greece, the idea of getting ahead and scaling your business, you're going to inevitably be constrained because there doing business is who you know. It's not what you know and how good your product is.
Yeah,
Um, it's like
$100%. Same Armenian. Yeah.
in order for me to get my product or my business up and running, I have to know the right people. I have to
Mm-hmm.
talk to the right politicians. It's
Yeah,
very easy to start a business in America in comparison.
100%. Even if you fail into, you start, you fail, you can always, get back on your feet and start something else. Just keep on exploring until, you find what you're meant to do.
Yeah, definitely. Mariam, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Same, likewise.
For everyone that wants to find you online on socials and your newly branded company, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm active on Instagram now, trying to. You can search for Host with Mariam on Instagram, and I have all the other links over there.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure
Thanks,
talking to you.
Lenny. It was
And
really nice chatting with you.
likewise, for everyone watching, thanks for coming. We'll see you next time on the Sip and Scale podcast. Bye.
Bye.